All right, welcome back to the Business Talk Library. Now, today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually play a commercial that we've been filming, and it's something we worked on for several months. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go piece by piece, breaking it down so you understand all the tricks and the trades about marketing and how to really take a concept and really market your business in a more exciting, more insightful way. So I'm going to play our commercial and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to go step by step talking through here's the meetings, the different things that we discuss, the different decisions, myself and the major production company that we work with, all of the different kind of the science behind how to make an effective marketing tool. And I'm going to share those secrets and those tips with you. So stay tuned. So when it comes down to marketing, it's not a skill set that everybody has, nor is it a skill set that everybody chooses to develop. But one of the things that I can tell a lot of people is that my background is not in, sales and marketing. I mean, it's something that I had to learn myself. I mean, it is something that took, study and practice and getting better at it over time. And after studying a lot of great marketers, working with great marketing firms, and studying under a great marketer and asking them questions, one of the things that I learned is that it's not as complicated as I initially thought. But now what I also learned is there are little things that make a huge difference. And if you can figure out what those little things are and how to tweak those little things, you'll get better results with the business that you're building and what you're trying to build up. And so over several months, I spent time working with a production company as, we came up with the ideas and the concept of this commercial that I'm going to show you guys that we did for our company. And we really talked through the ideas of like, hey, what are the ideas that we're thinking through? And to be honest with you, it took us maybe about a month just to get the concept down. Like I originally had an idea and said, hey, I want to do it this way. We tweaked that. We talked through it. We had a couple of meetings and thinking sessions to think through that. There was probably about 3 sessions where I met with the production team, I met with my producer, I met with one of the members on the writing team, where we actually just really walk through scene by scene. What is it that we want to communicate? What is it that we want to get across? And in each of those times, I learned something extremely valuable as like, okay, that's why this commercial does this. That's why this commercial does this. So when you see those commercials that air, let's say, during the Super Bowl every year, there are months and sometimes there are years of research that go into making those commercials. And there's a reason why they're doing certain things that they're doing in it. And that's what we learned. And that's what I'm going to share. So I want to show you guys the new commercial. It's about a 60-second commercial that we just released. I want to share that. And then what I'm going to do after you see the commercial is I'm going to go back and I'm going to break down piece by piece what were the very key elements of what we had to talk through, the strategy, why we did it the way we did it. And not only that, I'm also going to give you examples on, what you can do in your own business as you're trying to get your message out there. You're trying to get something across. So enjoy the commercial. We get it. Keeping track of your finances can seem pretty overwhelming when you're running a business. Achieving your financial goals in business should not be a guessing game. That's why it pays to work with someone that can take a hard look at your financial numbers and not add more stress to the balancing act of running your business. The T.O. Turner Group will provide a clear and concise explanation to your financial standing.
got the returns that you sent to me and crunched the numbers and
without a lot of the complicated language. We want you to get the most value out of the accounting and the finance side of your business. The T.L. Turner Group provides a variety of ways to approach a better understanding of your finances and provide solutions to common problems that so many business owners face. The T.L. Turner Group will simplify finance and help you make smarter money decisions in your business. So there you have it. That is the T.L. Turner Group commercial that we recently released after, like I said, months of research and working on it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a screen share, and I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to walk through piece by piece on this, because I think there is a lot of value to be had of explaining this. Now, I will say I didn't edit this video myself. Again, we hired a production company to help us walk through this. And I think the production company did an amazing job. I mean, like I said, we spent months prepping for it, scouting out the location, and then we spent like an entire day of filming on site, of going through the scenes. It was probably like 6 hours of filming and production, to the point where, like I said, it came out really well, really well. I mean, I'll even show some of the video or some of the images of, like I said, some of the behind the scenes stuff that we were doing. I mean, because it was very eye-opening to go through the experience and then to start to figure out, like, man, all of this stuff goes into it. Like, there's more than just, the simple, just show up and film it. Like, that's one shot that we had of kind of behind the scenes of when we were setting up, what the setup looked like, all the kind of the lighting. There's me with the actors and the actress, and really some of the other shots of, me on set when I was doing my camera shots and angles of me working with the production team. So a lot of great things happened there. But let's walk through it. The first thing that I would say is, first thing that I learned that I think a lot of business owners get wrong when it comes down to marketing and advertising, what they don't understand is that people prefer to start with, let's hide that so we can go full screen. So people prefer to start with something that is familiar to them. Now, the reason why I say people prefer to start with something that is familiar to them is because when you show somebody something that they don't really know, they aren't familiar with, they don't really know what to think about. And to be completely honest with you, what a lot of research shows is that people don't trust things that they are not familiar with. For example, maybe you've seen this where you go to a cookout. Say you go to a cookout and there's macaroni and cheese on the table, and someone's looking at like, oh, who made the macaroni and cheese? If you tell them a name of somebody that they don't know, without even tasting it, people are like, I don't know about that. Because it's like people don't like what they're not familiar with. And so when it comes down to when you're going to invest time and energy into your marketing, you have to ask yourself, what are people, what image comes to mind? Like, what do people feel comfortable with when it comes to my subject matter? And to get more specific, for what we set up is, my business is providing bookkeeping and financial services to small and medium-sized businesses. So the first thing we ask ourselves is, when people think about working with an accountant, what's the normal setting that they usually think about? Now, I know it's a little adjusted in the world of COVID, where a lot of things are happening remotely, but for the most part, people think about an office space. Like, if you ask them, like, hey, where are you going to meet your accountant? A lot of times your accountant will have an office, and there will be some type of professional looking building. So when it came down to, making sure that we came up with something familiar, we scouted a couple of locations where we could do the do the ad, or I guess to film it. And one of the locations we came down with, there was a co-working space that this building actually used to be a bank that they turned into an office space, to where we were like, yo, this is perfect. It has some of the elements that people are familiar with when they think about how they are going to conduct their business. It is thinking about an office space, because my target audience for this commercial are business owners. And I want them to understand, hey, we provide bookkeeping and accounting services. Also, I think the bank vault door helps in the background, because what we do is related to money. So that helps out a lot as well. The other thing is, now this is where I think a lot of people struggle with, and I understand why they struggle, because a lot of people struggle with being able to be honest enough to say, okay, when people think about an accountant, or when people think about your profession, what is the image of the person that comes to mind? And when I'm being completely honest, when people normally think about an accountant, a white male is what comes to mind, which is why when we went to look at who are we going to cast to play which role, once we worked on the sketch, we said, okay, all right, who looks like what people expect? And so that's why we chose the person that we chose, which is a good friend of mine, Jimmy. And even when we thought about like, yo, what's the visual? What's the look? And when we Googled accountant, a lot of times what we saw is, your stereotypical accountant, like the bow tie, the suspenders, the glasses. Like Jimmy doesn't wear glasses, but we staged the glasses because we thought that, hey, that would be appealing for what people would expect when it comes down to looking at an accountant. So we staged Jimmy as the accountant. The other thing is, we know that right now, where our business is growing the fastest is when it comes down to female-led businesses. So what we realize is, since female-led businesses are our fastest growing client base, then we need to cast a female as the client in this commercial, because that's what our target audience is comfortable with. And to take it even a step further, one of the things that we also realize is the segment of our client base that's growing the fastest is actually Black female businesses. So we've had probably several law firms that are run by Black females. And what we realize is, if that's the segment of our clients that are growing the fastest, let's make sure we pick actors and actresses that match what our target audience is comfortable with. So the next thing that I think you really do is you start to then connect the dots between what people are familiar with, and start connecting the dots to something that you want to communicate. And so one of the things, something that we wanted to communicate to people is, and let me turn off the audio. So right where we set the scene, what we wanted to communicate to people is, working with your accountant is something that business owners have to do. But what we also wanted to emphasize is that, a lot of times working with your accountant can be a very complex process. It can be something that is very confusing. And this is where we started, really connecting the dots on that, and really started bringing together the idea that, hey, you know what? Now we need to feel your pain. We need you to know that we understand how complicated this really is. I mean, which is why, like, when it came down to some of the angles, if you look at the expression of the actress, she looks confused. And if you look at the expression of the accountant, he looks like he's having a lot of fun confusing her. And one of the things that we did when we did some research and talking to potential clients, what we realized is that a lot of business owners really felt like, hey, when I talk to my accountant does not know how to speak my language. My accountant does not know how to actually help me get things done. And to be honest with you, I feel like my accountant is playing games where I may call them, they don't call me back, Or let's say, I ask them a question, they never have a direct answer. It's just a little unclear. And you know what? I'm just really not enjoying the experience of working with them. And the other thing that we really realize is that with people having that challenge is they need to know that we understand that's what your experience is like. And what we want to help them understand is that, hey, we can step in to actually help you not have to deal with that crazy experience. Because when it comes down to business, what we realize is people are paying us to provide solutions. People are paying us to help solve their problems, which is why this image right here, this is why we went with this image. Because what we did is we showed them, hey, here's a familiar setting. You have a client, you have an accountant, and then you have an accountant that is just driving you crazy, an accountant that isn't really helping you understand your business. And then now that you're familiar with that, what we show is how are we different? How do we step in and how do we change the situation for you? How do we make you feel more comfortable in what you're doing? And how do we actually help you realize that, hey, we are the solution to the problem that you are having? Because you shouldn't be paying money to an accountant to give you more problems. You should be paying money to someone who will actually help take the pressure off, someone who will actually help make things a lot smoother, a lot easier for you. So that's why we went with this setting. And when we started to stage it this way, what we realized is doing some different feedback is that people really gravitated to this. Now, I'll take a step back outside of my commercial and just give you an example. Like, you see this a lot when you look at a lot of major companies and commercials. Like there was a product that came out a couple years ago, a product called Potpourri. And with the Potpourri product, one of the things that that happened with that product is they first came out with the product and they were like, hey, this product is for men because men go to the bathroom, they blow it up, and now the whole room is smelling because for that or whatever. So they were trying to sell potpourri to men. What they realized is men aren't really buying potpourri. Like most men aren't thinking like, oh yeah, let me go buy this potpourri so I can spray it in my bathroom or I can have it in my bathroom. And it just wasn't doing well. So what they did is they came back and said, hey, how about we rebrand it? Let's understand our customer a little bit more and let's do something that's a little bit more familiar. So then what they came back with the advertising is instead of trying to market the potpourri to men, what they came back and they said is like, hey, let's switch it up a little bit. What if we actually marketed the product, the potpourri product, to wives of the men who actually just blow up the bathroom? So what they did is they showed a scene where there's a woman and her husband sitting in their bedroom or whatever. He has to go to the bathroom or whatever and blows it up and the room just smells. And you can see the disgust, the frustration on her face. And then they switch to introducing her to the potpourri. And so the next scene, what you see is he says, hey, I got to go to the bathroom. She says, hold up. And she runs in, she sprays the potpourri. Then she goes and sits down and says, all right, now you can go in. He goes in. The next scene you see her sitting, enjoying. She has a smile on her face. And that made the product sell like crazy because they took a situation that people are very familiar with. They showed that, hey, we understand the pain of a wife who has a husband who eats something he probably shouldn't, goes and blows up the bathroom. And now we have a solution to that problem. And because they connected the dots with that, they sold, like crazy. To the point that my wife came home with she ordered these potpourri things or whatever. I'm like, what is this? Like, I've never heard, like at the time, I had never heard of the company. But because she saw that commercial, it changed her whole perspective. And she was like, you know what? We need to get this. And I'm just like, okay. And then what was also interesting is they came out with some more ads that I thought were hilarious, because one of the things that they realized is that, you know what? Women are the people who buy our product. Now, one of the other things that happen with women is, you know what? Sometimes women got to go and they got to take care of business, but women don't want you to know that's what they're doing. So what they did is they aired a commercial of a woman who had to go, and let's say she was at someone's house and she was invited as a guest to someone's house, but she still had to go and she couldn't wait till she got home. So she pulls the bottle of potpourri, a small bottle, a travel size bottle, out of her purse, goes in the bathroom, takes care of business. Nobody suspects anything. And that also helped the product sell, because again, what they understood is they understood who their audience was. They understood what the pain was. They came up with a very familiar scenario. And then they said, hey, here's a very familiar scenario. Here's the pain or the problem. Here is the solution. And they showed what it looks like when you actually use this solution, which is exactly what we were aiming for here. As you can see, is when I sit down with the client, to see the difference in the expression. Now, one of the things that we also did here is we wanted to re-emphasize that we are very different from the other options that you might be used to. So even after we brought the solution, we said, just in case you forgot how frustrating it was to deal with the other guy, let's make sure you really understand we can actually do a better job. So we brought another scene where we showed, hey, this is what it looks like to work with them. And then we connected the dots to say, hey, at the end of the day, if you were looking for a firm that can provide bookkeeping and financial services that is really going to help your business, this is why you should choose us, because we understand what you're going through and we can actually help you and make it simple. And that is, I would say, the psychology behind why we did the commercial the way we did it. So you might be asking yourself, all right, Terrell, so that works for you. That's great. But how do I use this in my business? So here's the layout. Here's the formula that I would say of what you need to look at. The first thing is understand what is your product, and ask yourself, when people use my product or my service, what is the typical image that they expect to see around it? Like, you know, what does the location look like? You know, who are the people involved? Let's say if you're a beauty salon. If you're a beauty salon, asking yourself, when people think about a beauty salon, what image comes to mind? And not only what image comes to mind for everyone, what image comes to mind for your specific audience, like your specific customer that you are trying to attract. Because let's say, for example, if you have a beauty salon in the suburbs versus you have a beauty salon in, like, let's say downtown, or I guess in the center of Manhattan, they may look very different, and the type of customers you're attracting may be very different. So you want to make sure that you understand who is your target audience. And then you want to ask yourself, what is the image that they expect when they come to receive my type of service or buy my type of product? The next thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you let them know we understand the pain or the problem that you are facing. Because if I can help you understand, or I help you realize that we know your pain, we know the problem that you're dealing with. And then the next step is, how do I help them understand that, hey, we have a solution to that pain, or we have a solution to that problem. And then this is the part that I think a lot of people struggle with. And I'll go back to this scene again, because this is very important, is that what people don't often do is they may do a good job of understanding the problem, They do a good job of, they do a good job of understanding their audience, understanding the problem. But what they don't do is they don't actually show people what are you going to look like when you get a solution. Like, what are you going to feel like? Because people buy on emotions. And so what we were emphasizing here is for the client that works with us, you see, she has a smile on her face. And then what we also added was, you see this desk that has a ton of clutter on it. What we also added was this aspect of not only will you have a smile on your face, things will be less complicated, and this will be a lot cleaner process because people wanted to get away from the stress. So one of the things that you have to get good at is you have to show people, what does it look like? What are you going to feel like when you experience the solution that we provide? Because that is what really helps solidify it for people, is when they say, you know what, when I do this, man, this is how I'm going to feel. It really helps put the nail in the coffin to show that, hey, this person, they understand what I'm looking for. They understand the pain that I'm going through. They have a solution, and their solution is going to make me feel better, or it's going to make it simpler. And even we went back and we did the same thing towards the end, where when you see this scene where, hey, I have a lot of questions, but how is this going to help me make more money? Because people want to make more money in their business, where we're doing these little things in the commercial to help people understand that. So as you think about your own advertising and as you think about your own marketing, the question you got to ask yourself is, who is your target audience? Not only who is your target audience, but what is it that they expect? Like, what's the norm? What are they familiar with? Then what's the pain or the problem that they are experiencing? What is your solution? And then next, how are they going to feel, and what benefits are they going to get from using your solution? And when you use that process, what it will do is it will really help you start to communicate to your clients that you are the best option for them. And I'm guarantee you, when you do that well, you will definitely see your sales increase. You'll see that customers like your product more, and people are really enjoying your business and doing business, and they will enjoy paying you more. So I hope that was very helpful for you as we broke down the science of the advertisement and the ad that we just did after months of research and work. And I'll play it one more time so you guys can see it. And thanks for tuning in. We get it. Keeping track of your finances can seem pretty overwhelming when you're running a business. Achieving your financial goals in business should not be a guessing game. That's why it pays to work with someone that can take a hard look at your financial numbers and not add more stress to the balancing act of running your business. The T.O. Turner Group will provide a clear and concise explanation to your financial standing.
I got the returns that you sent to me and crunched the numbers and
without a lot of the complicated language. We want you to get the most value out of the accounting and the finance side of your business. The T.O. Turner Group provides a variety of ways to approach a better understanding of your finances and provide solutions to common problems that so many business owners face. The T.O. Turner Group will simplify finance and help you make smarter money decisions in your business. If you'd like to see more of the Business Talk Library, be sure to watch us every week on Tuesday nights at 6 p.m.
Hey, it's your girl, Tia Robertson. I'm the host of Entrepreneur Insider. Right here on RETV every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern for entrepreneurs and news that you need to know about. See you there.
This is Tyron
and Nicole with your weekly RATV News Break. Each Thursday at 12 noon Eastern, we'll come to you with the latest news, trends, and more with a positive spin.
We know there's a lot of positive news that doesn't get reported, but we want to give you the opportunity to share your story here on RATV. If you have a positive news story you want us to share, you can submit your story to news@re-tv.net.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Relationship Entertainment Television YouTube channel. Download the new RATV Live app on your mobile device and follow Relationship Entertainment Television on your favorite social media platform.
Don't forget, make sure you tune into the RATV News Break each Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern. Until then, be blessed and be great.
Growing up in the church, we saw a lot. Things that people refuse to talk about. The elephants in the room. Mental illness, sexual abuse, broken families, domestic violence, and so much more. The Big E, The Elephant in the Room, is a show that sheds light on these topics. We're here to speak about the unspeakable.
Welcome to What's Going On? My name is Demita Joe. Each Wednesday, you can find me here at 3 p.m. I'll be over here discussing different things that are going on and try to bring you a boost of positivity for your week because we all need this. We're going to share some feel-good stories. We might find a hometown hero. We may take a look at some trending topic. And sometimes we might even find a lesson in a not-so-warm and fuzzy story if we can. I'm Demita Joe, and I'll see you guys on the next episode right here on What's Going On?